I'm a 48-year-old dad and I've got a son, Jackie, who's 19. Let me just say right off the bat, I'm incredibly proud of this kid. He's been working hard ever since he was 16. Never once asked me for handouts or expected anything to be handed to him. He started working part-time jobs while still in high school, balancing that with a heavy course load, and still managed to pull off excellent grades. The kind of dedication he shows honestly amazes me sometimes. I don't even know if I was that focused at his age. Last year, he graduated high school with honors and got accepted into his dream university. He even landed a partial scholarship, which helped a bit with the tuition. I wanted to do something really special for him. Not just a good job card or a dinner out. I mean, something that showed him how much I noticed his efforts and how proud I was. I'm not some rich guy. I work as a project manager for a construction company, and while it pays decently, I've had to be smart with money, especially after my divorce from Jackie's mom about a decade ago. Being a single dad isn't easy, but I've always made it work, and I've been saving little by little over the last 3 years with the specific goal of getting Jackie a car for college. Nothing fancy, just something reliable and safe so he wouldn't have to rely on public transit or friends for rides. I wanted him to have the freedom to focus on school, work, and life without worrying about how to get around. After a ton of research, test drives, phone calls, and scrolling through online listings, I found what seemed like the perfect car, a 2018 Toyota Camry. It had reasonable mileage, no accidents, and was in great shape. It cost me $16,000, which was basically all of my savings at the time, but I didn't hesitate. Jackie had earned it, and I wanted to give him that boost. When I surprised him with the car, the look on his face made every single dollar and every hour of overtime worth it. He was shocked, then just started crying and hugged me like he used to when he was a little kid. I'll never forget that moment as long as I live. It was one of those dad highlights I'll carry forever. He started college last fall and has been doing really well. He manages his time better than I ever did at that age, between classes, a part-time job, and still making time to enjoy college life. He's juggling it all. He'd usually drive home every other weekend to visit me, and each time he'd give me little updates on how things were going, how the car was running, how much easier it was to get around campus. He kept that car spotless, always made sure it was maintained and treated it like it was a prized possession. Now, this is where things take a turn. I've got a younger brother, Paul. He's 45 and let's just say, he's always been a bit of a mess. Growing up, we didn't have much, but Paul took it a lot harder than I did. He's always had this chip on his shoulder, like the world owed him something. As adults, we took very different paths. Paul has a hard time keeping a job, spends recklessly, and always seems to be in some sort of financial jam. Over the years, I've lent him money, helped him find work, offered him a place to stay more times than I can count. He's still my brother, so I've tried to be there, even though it usually ends up biting me. Paul has a son, Tyler, who's 20. Tyler takes after his dad in a lot of ways, unfortunately. He started at a local community college, but dropped out after one semester. He bounces from job to job, doesn't seem to have much ambition, and spends most of his time playing video games or hanging out with his buddies. I've always tried to be a good uncle to him, inviting him over for holidays, giving him advice when he'd listen, that sort of thing. But he's never really seemed interested. Anyway, about a month ago, Jackie came home for spring break. Around the same time, Paul and Tyler were staying with me because, surprise, Paul was between apartments again. I let them crash at my place temporarily, figuring it would just be for a couple of weeks. One morning, Tyler mentioned he had a job interview, but his own car, a beat up thing he bought for like $800, was completely dead. Jackie, being the generous soul he is, offered to let Tyler borrow his Camry to get to the interview. He told him clearly, just go to the interview and come right back. Jackie even mentioned he had plans later that afternoon to meet up with some old high school friends, so he'd need the car back in time. Well, hours went by. No word from Tyler. Jackie tried calling, texting, nothing. By evening, we were both starting to worry, and finally, around 9 p.m., we got a call from Tyler. He casually asked if we could come pick him up from a spot about 40 miles away. We drove out there, and when we saw the car, our hearts sank. The Camry was completely wrecked. The front end was crushed, the passenger side was torn up, 2 tires were blown out. It looked like it had been through hell. Jackie just stood there staring at it, completely stunned. He didn't say a word at first. Tyler, meanwhile, looked totally unfazed. He told us that after the interview, which he claimed went really well, he decided to meet up with some friends at a lake about an hour away. On the way back, he said he was just having a bit of fun on some curvy roads, and he ended up losing control and slamming into a guardrail, and then a tree. The airbag went off and everything. He was lucky to only walk away with a few bruises. When Jackie finally spoke, he just asked Tyler why he would do that, when he knew how important the car was. Tyler's response? He shrugged and said, "It's just a car, man. Your dad's loaded. He can just buy you another one. It's not like you guys struggle like we do." I nearly lost it. I was absolutely livid. Not only had Tyler totaled Jackie's car, the one I spent years saving for, but he acted like it was no big deal. Like we were just rolling in cash and could magically replace it. It wasn't just a car. It was a reward for years of hard work. It was something Jackie took pride in, something he appreciated every single day, and Tyler treated it like a toy he could trash and walk away from. I called my insurance company the next morning, hoping maybe, just maybe, there'd be a way to get some help. But since Tyler wasn't on the policy and had taken the car well beyond what was agreed upon, driving an hour to a lake wasn't part of the deal, they basically said the claim would be denied. The damage wasn't going to be covered. The next day, a mechanic confirmed what we already knew. The repair costs would far exceed the car's value. The car that I'd saved for years to buy, that had meant so much to Jackie, was gone. Jackie didn't blame me, but I could see how devastated he was. He'd lost his transportation, his independence, and something that had been a symbol of his hard work and my love for him. Paul's reaction was what really got to me. Instead of disciplining Tyler or offering to help make things right, he downplayed the whole situation. "Boys will be boys," he said. "It's just material stuff. Family should come first." When I pressed him about Tyler taking financial responsibility, he got defensive and said they barely had enough money for rent, let alone paying for a car. I was in a tough spot. Jackie needed a car for college, but all my savings had gone into the first one. After a lot of thought, I decided to take out a personal loan to buy Jackie another vehicle. It wasn't ideal, but Jackie's education was my priority, and he needed reliable transportation. I found a similar Toyota, slightly older with more miles, but still in good condition for $14,000. Here's where things got even more complicated. I had originally planned to help Tyler get a decent used car too, once he showed some stability and responsibility. I had mentioned this to Paul months ago, saying that if Tyler could hold down a job for 6 months and save some money, I would match what he saved to help him get something better than his current beater. I had set aside $2,000 for this purpose. After the accident, I decided that money would go towards Jackie's replacement car instead. It was the right decision in my mind. Jackie had proven himself responsible, while Tyler had shown the opposite. But when Paul found out, he was livid. He accused me of playing favorites and punishing Tyler for one mistake. He couldn't seem to understand that actions have consequences. The situation escalated when Tyler discovered that Jackie had gotten a replacement car using money that might have partially gone to him. He started telling everyone in our extended family that I was rubbing my wealth in their faces and deliberately trying to make them feel inferior. He painted himself as the victim, claiming I was holding a grudge over just an accident and that I've always favored Jackie over him. Some family members have been calling me, suggesting I should have handled things differently. My parents, who are in their 70s, are upset about the family discord and have been pressuring me to make peace by helping Tyler get a car anyway, despite what happened. I'm standing firm, but the tension is making family gatherings unbearable. Jackie has been incredibly mature through all of this. He's grateful for the replacement car and has offered to help pay back the loan with his part-time job earnings, though I've told him to focus on his studies instead. He's trying to maintain a relationship with Tyler despite everything, but Tyler has been cold and resentful towards him too. Am I wrong for replacing my son's car with money I might have otherwise used to help my nephew? Should I have made Tyler work to pay for the damages instead, even knowing it would probably never happen? Is there a better way I could have handled this situation that would have taught Tyler responsibility while preserving family harmony? I'm truly at a loss. Update 1. First, I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. I wasn't expecting so many responses, and reading through them has helped me feel more confident in my decision to prioritize Jackie after Tyler's irresponsibility. A lot has happened in just a few days. The day after I posted, Paul showed up at my house unannounced. He was calmer than before, but still insisted that I was being unfair to Tyler. He brought up our childhood and how our parents had sometimes given me things they couldn't afford for him, which isn't true. If anything, they often gave him more because he complained more. He then suggested a compromise, that I should loan Tyler the $2,000 I had set aside so he could buy another beater car, and he would ensure Tyler paid me back monthly. I declined the offer, explaining that Tyler had shown he couldn't be trusted with responsibility, and that any money I might have given him was now going to fix the problem he created. Paul didn't take this well. He accused me of destroying Tyler's chances, and that without a car, Tyler couldn't get to work and would spiral further. I pointed out that Tyler managed to get to places before he had a car, and that public transportation, ride shares, or even a bicycle were all options until he could save up for another vehicle himself. Paul left angry, and later that night I got a series of text messages from Tyler calling me selfish and saying I was teaching him that family doesn't have your back. The irony of this statement after what he did to Jackie's car wasn't lost on me. The next development was more concerning. Jackie called me from campus, upset because Tyler had been messaging his friends from high school, telling them that Jackie was spoiled and that I played favorites because Jackie's mom, my ex-wife, had taken me to the cleaners in the divorce, which is absolutely false. We had a pretty amicable split and fair division of assets. Tyler was essentially trying to drive a wedge between Jackie and his friends by painting him as some privileged rich kid, which couldn't be further from the truth. I called Paul immediately after this, and he claimed he would talk to Tyler, but also suggested that there must be some truth to how Tyler feels. I was furious and told Paul that if he couldn't see how wrong Tyler's behavior was, both in destroying the car and now trying to damage Jackie's reputation, then maybe they should both find somewhere else to stay. Paul said they'd be out by the weekend, which honestly came as a relief. My parents called yesterday after Paul had apparently given them his version of events. They were upset but seemed to understand my position better after I explained the full situation. They agreed that Tyler needed to take responsibility, but asked me to consider helping him in some other way, like paying for driving lessons or a defensive driving course. I thought this was actually a reasonable suggestion and told them I would think about it. Jackie's handling all of this remarkably well, though I can tell he's hurt by Tyler's attempts to turn people against him. He's focused on his finals coming up and says he just wants the whole thing to blow over. I've told him to block Tyler on social media for now and to focus on the people who know his true character. I've reached out to a lawyer friend about the car situation, and he confirmed that I could technically sue Tyler or Paul for the damages. But given their financial situation, it would likely be difficult to collect even if I won. He suggested sending a formal demand letter first, which I'm considering. I'm not sure what the next few days will bring, but I'm trying to stay firm in my decision, while still leaving the door open for Tyler to make amends if he ever decides to grow up and take responsibility for his actions. Update 2. The situation has taken several unexpected turns since my last update, and I'm still processing everything that's happened. As promised, Paul and Tyler moved out of my house last weekend. It wasn't a pleasant departure. Tyler refused to help clean up the guest room he'd been using, leaving it in complete disarray, food wrappers, dirty laundry, even a small stain on the carpet that looked like motor oil. Paul made a half-hearted attempt to apologize for the mess, but blamed it on Tyler being upset about the situation. I bit my tongue to avoid further conflict and just wanted them gone at that point. 2 days after they left, I received a concerning call from my parents, apparently. Paul had told them that they might not see me at family gatherings anymore because I had chosen material possessions over family. He had painted himself and Tyler as victims, who were now homeless because of my actions. My parents were distressed, thinking I had kicked them out without warning and with nowhere to go. I had to set the record straight. I explained that Paul had been staying with me for nearly a month when he was supposed to be there for just a few days. That they had left of their own accord after I confronted them about Tyler's behavior, and that they had gone to stay with Paul's friend, not onto the streets as they had implied. My parents seemed relieved but were still upset about the family conflict. The next development was completely unexpected. I got a call from Jackie, who told me that Tyler's story about the accident wasn't adding up. One of Jackie's friends had seen Tyler's social media posts from the day of the crash, before Tyler blocked all of Jackie's friends, which showed Tyler and 4 of his friends at the lake drinking heavily. There were even pictures of Tyler behind the wheel with a beer in hand, posing and laughing. The timestamps indicated these were taken just a couple of hours before the crash. I was furious. Not only had Tyler taken the car without permission and driven recklessly, but he had also been drinking while driving my son's car. He could have killed himself and others with his irresponsibility. Jackie was upset too, realizing that Tyler had flat out lied about what happened. I called Paul immediately to confront him about this new information. At first, he denied it, saying that Jackie's friends were lying to cause trouble. When I told him I had seen the pictures myself, Jackie had taken screenshots before Tyler deleted them, his tone changed. He admitted that Tyler had told him about the drinking, but he didn't think it was relevant since the car was already destroyed anyway. I was speechless. In Paul's mind, the fact that his son had driven drunk was just a minor detail not worth mentioning. I told him that I was considering reporting the incident to the police, as driving under the influence is a serious offense. Paul panicked, begging me not to ruin Tyler's life over one mistake. He promised that Tyler would get help and take responsibility. After calming down and discussing it with Jackie, we decided not to go to the police. This was primarily because the evidence was now deleted, and it would be difficult to prove anything weeks after the fact. Instead, I drafted a formal letter with my lawyer friend detailing the damages and demanding that Tyler begin making payments according to a reasonable schedule we outlined. I also included a condition that Tyler attend an alcohol education program and provide proof of completion. I delivered this letter to Paul's friend's house where they were staying. Paul called me later that day, upset about the letter but also somewhat subdued. He said he and Tyler had talked, and Tyler had admitted to having a bit of a problem with alcohol. Paul asked if instead of payments, Tyler could do work around my house to compensate for the damages. I declined this offer, explaining that the monetary value of the car was too high for that to be practical, and that I needed the money for Jackie's replacement car payments. In a surprising turn, my ex-wife, Jackie's mom, called me after hearing about the situation from Jackie. Despite our differences, she was fully supportive of my position and even offered to help with the car payments. I thanked her but declined, saying this was my responsibility. It was a nice moment of co-parenting solidarity that I hadn't expected. The most dramatic development came yesterday. Tyler showed up at my door, alone. He looked rough, tired and anxious. He asked if we could talk, and I cautiously agreed. Sitting at my kitchen table, Tyler broke down crying. He admitted that he had been drinking heavily the day of the accident and that he had been struggling with alcohol for some time. The crash had scared him, though he was too proud and embarrassed to admit it initially. He said that after receiving my letter, he realized that his actions could have had far worse consequences than just a destroyed car. He apologized not just for the car but for his behavior afterward and for trying to turn Jackie's friends against him. He asked for my help finding a treatment program, admitting that he didn't have the money to pay for one himself. I was skeptical given the timing and his previous behavior, but also saw a glimmer of genuine remorse. I told him I would help him find resources for alcohol treatment, but made it clear that he would still need to take financial responsibility for the damages over time. He agreed, saying he wanted to make things right. I'm still processing this conversation and deciding how to proceed. Part of me wants to believe that this could be a turning point for Tyler, but I'm also wary of being manipulated. For now, I've connected him with a free assessment service for alcohol treatment and told him to keep me updated. Jackie is returning home this weekend, and I'm not sure yet if a conversation between him and Tyler would be helpful or harmful at this stage. I'm hoping for some resolution to this messy situation. But I know that rebuilding trust will take time, if it's possible at all. Update 3. Everything has completely changed in the last few days, and I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Jackie came home for the weekend as planned. We had a long talk about Tyler's visit and apparent change of heart. Jackie was understandably skeptical, but said he would be willing to talk with Tyler if Tyler was genuinely trying to make amends. Jackie has always had a bigger heart than most people give him credit for. The real bombshell came when we received a call from my sister-in-law, Emily, Paul's ex-wife and Tyler's mom. She lives in Colorado and has been somewhat estranged from Tyler since the divorce when Tyler was 14. She had heard about the accident from my parents and wanted to know what was going on. When I explained everything, including Tyler's recent confession about his drinking problem, she was quiet for a moment before saying, "This is exactly what happened with the car I gave him when he turned 18. I was shocked. I had never heard about Tyler owning any car other than the old beater he had recently. Emily went on to tell me that she had saved up and bought Tyler a reliable used Honda for his 18th birthday. Within 2 months, he had totaled it while driving drunk with friends. She had been devastated, not just about the car, but about Tyler's drinking and his lack of remorse afterwards. Emily revealed that she had been trying to get Tyler into treatment for over a year, but he had always refused. And Paul had enabled his behavior, making excuses and covering for him. She said that after the Honda incident, she had told Tyler she wouldn't help him financially again until he got help, which led to their estrangement. Tyler had painted her as abandoning him, much like he was now trying to paint me. Everything suddenly made more sense. This wasn't a one-time mistake, but a pattern of behavior. Paul's defensiveness wasn't just about the car. He was protecting Tyler from facing the consequences of his alcohol problem. Emily asked if I would be willing to coordinate with her on getting Tyler into treatment, saying that maybe this time, with both of us standing firm, he might actually follow through. I agreed and we came up with a plan. Emily had researched programs in our area previously and knew of a good outpatient treatment center that operated on a sliding scale fee. She offered to help with the costs if Tyler committed to the program. We decided that I would talk to Tyler together with Jackie, and then Emily would call him after our conversation. Later that day, Tyler came to the house as we had arranged. He seemed nervous but sober. Jackie was reserved but civil. I started by telling Tyler that I knew about the Honda his mother had given him, and that this wasn't his first alcohol-related accident. He looked stunned and then defensive, asking how I knew about that. When I told him I had spoken with his mother, he became agitated, saying she had no right to interfere in his life after abandoning him. Jackie, showing remarkable maturity, calmly told Tyler that no one was attacking him. We were concerned about his well-being and the pattern of behavior that was endangering him and others. Jackie said that he could forgive the car, but he couldn't stand by and watch Tyler self-destruct. Tyler's anger deflated and he sat in silence for a while, and then he admitted that he'd been struggling with drinking since high school, that it had cost him his first semester of college, several jobs, and now 2 cars, potentially his relationship with his family. He said he had genuinely meant it when he said he wanted help, but he was scared of failing at recovery like he felt he had failed at everything else. It was the most honest and vulnerable I had ever seen Tyler. I shared the information about the treatment center Emily had found and said that she was willing to help with the costs. Tyler was surprised that his mother still cared enough to help him. I told him that the offer to help with treatment was separate from the responsibility for the car. He would still need to make payments for the damages over time, but we could work out a reasonable plan that wouldn't interfere with his treatment. Tyler agreed to talk to his mother and consider the treatment program. Jackie, in a gesture that moved me deeply, offered to drive Tyler to his first few appointments if needed, once Tyler was back on his feet. The conversation ended on a cautiously optimistic note. That evening, Emily called to say that she had talked with Tyler for over an hour, their first real conversation in nearly 2 years. He had agreed to start the treatment program the following week. She also said that Paul had called her, surprisingly apologetic and acknowledging that he had been enabling Tyler's behavior. Whether this change of heart would last remained to be seen, but it was a positive sign. The next development was unexpected. My parents called to say that they had spoken with both Paul and Emily, and after understanding the full situation, they wanted to help. They offered to contribute $5,000 toward Jackie's replacement car as an early graduation gift, which would significantly reduce the monthly payments on my loan. I was touched by their gesture and accepted gratefully. Yesterday, Tyler started his treatment program. Paul drove him to the center and called me afterwards, sounding humbled. He apologized for his defensive behavior and for not taking responsibility for Tyler's actions. He said that seeing Tyler take this step had made him realize how much he had contributed to the program by always making excuses. He also offered to make the first few payments towards the car damages himself, while Tyler focused on getting better. Jackie returned to campus today, but not before having a one-on-one conversation with Tyler. He didn't share all the details with me, but he said they had reached an understanding. Jackie told me he was proud of Tyler for getting help and that he believed people deserved second chances when they were genuinely trying to change. I don't know what the future holds for our family. Recovery is rarely a straight line, and repairing relationships takes time and consistent effort. But for the first time since the accident, I feel hopeful. This situation, as painful and frustrating as it has been, may end up being the wake-up call that Tyler needed. The car, which seemed so important at the beginning of all this, now feels almost secondary to the larger issues at play. Yes, it was a significant financial loss, and yes, the principle of responsibility still matters. But if this leads to Tyler getting the help he needs and our family finding a healthier dynamic, perhaps something positive will have come from it after all. I want to thank everyone who provided advice and support through this ordeal. Your perspectives help me stay firm when needed, but also open-minded enough to see the bigger picture. I'll post another update if there are significant developments, but for now, we're taking it one day at a time. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.